Hi, welcome to the Moderator Overview video. This video is designed to cover the basics of how to moderate a successful Scholar or Academic Bowl competition. This video assumes you understand the basics of how Scholar Bowl works. If not, please review the How to Play Quiz Bowl video linked. As a moderator, you ensure the competition is fair and the rules are applied consistently. If you haven't read through the rules summary for this tournament, please pause the video now and do so. Before the match begins, please ensure that your scorekeeper and players are ready. Each player should have access to a clean sheet of paper and a writing utensil. This can be as simple: are both teams ready? Is the scorekeeper ready? Are the coaches ready? After both teams are ready, introduce yourself and your scorekeeper to the teams and proceed with a buzzer check, asking each team member to say their name after buzzing and then also declaring a team captain. Most students will have a name tag to display to assist with this identification. Your scorekeeper may need time to ensure they have the correct students, so check in with them again before reading. When reading questions, please ensure that you read at a moderate pace and with moderate volume. You will want to project to the back of the room, but not yell. Keep in mind you are the only person in the room with the questions in front of them, so the only information students receive is what they can hear. The publicly available questions on this screen are similar to what you receive at the tournament, but the format will look slightly different. Always announce the toss-up question number before reading. Here's an example of how I would read this first question. Toss-up number 1. In this colony, John Peter Zenger was acquitted of libeling Governor William Cosby, which helped establish freedom of the press. The Stamp Act Congress was held in this colony's federal hall. Jean Burgon failed to establish control of this colony's Hudson River Valley and was defeated in this colony at the Battle of Saratoga. For 10 points, name this home colony of Alexander Hamilton, where the British failed to capture the city of Albany. Notice that I made quite a few pronunciation mistakes, and that is okay. Both teams hear you saying the same thing, so missing a few words is fine. Two main things can happen when you're reading the toss-up. Either a student buzzes in, or no one buzzes in 5 seconds after you finish reading the question, or 10 seconds if it's a math computation question. As the moderator, you're responsible for timing. Let's assume first a student buzzes in. There are a few scenarios for this, and you will want to first announce their name and make eye contact with them if possible. Option number 1. A student buzzes in while you're reading the bolded part before the asterisk and gets the answer correct. So in this last question that I read, if a student buzzes in before colonies and says New York, then that would be correct, and you would respond with correct with power. This student has answered quickly and has earned a bonus 5 points in that scenario. You will then move on to what is called the bonuses, and more on the bonuses here in a bit. Another scenario is if a student buzzes in after the bolded part, but before time is called and gets the answer correct. So at any point during the question, after this bolded part, and after the 5-second limit at the end, they get it correct, then you would say correct, they get 10 points, and then you move on to the bonuses. Alternatively, if a student buzzes in at any point while the question is being read and answers incorrectly, then they have earned -5 points for themselves and the team. I usually announce something like not what I have, -5 points, and I'm finishing the question for the other team. And then you will then complete the question for the other team. Make sure that you begin reading where you left off or as close as you remember. The other team now has a chance to answer the question, and only one -5 can be awarded per toss-up. So if the other team also buzzes in and answers incorrectly before the end, only one -5 is given. That school would just earn 0 points. A student could buzz in after the question is read completely and answering correctly. This student earns no points for this. However, the other team still gets a chance to buzz in and answer the toss-up as well. Remember, during toss-ups, there can be no collaboration among team members. If one team answers the toss-up correctly, you move on to the bonuses. In the packets that you receive, the bonuses are immediately following the toss-up. Not in this case where the toss-ups are just linked together. However, if neither team answers correctly for that toss-up, or doesn't buzz in at all, then just move on to the next toss-up. The team who answered the toss-up correctly gets the first chance to answer each bonus. I usually announce bonus 1 to whatever the school is that got it correct before reading through them. So here's an example of how I would read through the bonuses for number 1. The prediction of W and Z bosons in the 1960s was a major breakthrough on the path to a theory of everything. Answer these questions about unified field theory for 10 points each. Part A. W and Z particles mediate this fundamental force responsible for beta decay. The physicists Glashow, Weinberg, and Selim successfully unified this force with electromagnetism. The answer for each of these bonuses should come from the captain of the team, unless the captain defers to their player by name. During these bonuses, teams have 5 seconds to answer. If the team gets the part incorrect, it rebounds to the other team, and that team has only 3 seconds to answer. I would usually say something like incorrect, rebound. That way the other team knows that they can answer. Collaboration is allowed during these bonuses, and teams are encouraged to talk to one another during this part. Generally, they will not talk loudly, including while you're reading the question. If no team answers the bonus part correctly, announce the answer, and then repeat this for the next part, returning the team who answered the toss-up correctly. Each bonus question is worth 10 points. For an answer to be correct, the student must say the bolded and underlined part. If a student only says part of the answer, you can prompt the student for more information by saying the word prompt. An example of this in this particular bonus would be if a student said nuclear force, then I would look to them and say prompt. They're still allowed to collaborate, and the time is still there. So after the amount of time after a prompt and they don't answer, then you can call time and moving on to the other team, or moving on to the next bonus if necessary. So for them to get the points for this particular bonus, they would need to have the word weak. And they could just say the word weak without nuclear force at the end of it, and that is still acceptable. Notice in this next bonus, it has gravity, but it says also to accept gravitational force. That works as well. So that's an example and a bonus. An example of this in the toss-up would be in that last one that I said. It has the words New York colony. So if a student just said maybe York colony, then you would say prompt, and they would need to say New York. In some scenarios, you're told not to accept or prompt on something. For example, this says do not accept or prompt on New York City. So if a student says New York City, you would say that would be incorrect, and then go from there as normal. And there are a few scenarios or situations where you're allowed to say accept certain things at a certain point. For example, on this toss-up, you can accept either of these before it's actually read in the question. That's another example of where it's allowed. Stick with what is written, and keep in mind that they have to have the bolded and underlined part for it to work. In a bonus, a scenario where it wouldn't accept something is also listed. For example, in this bonus for number 5, it doesn't want, it's not allowed for the answer to be Odysseus. We're looking for the Odyssey or the Odyssea. Throughout the game, you might have a protest. Most of the time, you can logically follow through with the protest and find a resolution that works quickly. If for some reason you cannot resolve a protest immediately, note it and then defer it to the end of the game. At this point, we only resolve protests if they can affect who wins the game. If you need my assistance in a protest, you have a few options. You can come to me personally in the Tournament Central room and share with me the information. Make sure to bring the questions with you, or you can have the scorekeeper request me to come to the room if you feel like my presence would be assistant. Remember that your judgment calls, such as timing, what you heard, etc., they cannot be protested. So if you heard something, you heard it, and that is that. This process that we just went over will continue for the rest of the round. You will read 20 questions. There is a short break after question number 10. It's called halftime. That allows a score check and substitutions. Teams have 2 timeouts, 30-second and a 60-second timeout per game. The 30-second timeout is for substitutions only, and the 60-second timeout allows for substitutions and the coach may confer with the team. If the score is tied after toss-up number 20 and the bonuses are read, you will have 4 more bonuses that you can read, so you continue reading toss-ups until one team gets it correct. At that point, it breaks the tie and ends the game. Ensure that the scorekeeper announces both teams and their score during halftime at the end of the game. And then remember to thank the teams for participating and wish them good luck on the rest of the day. After completing the round, please make sure you return to Tournament Central with your questions, and then I will give you your next packet. I will say without your assistance, this doesn't work. So I want to personally say thank you for your help, and also please reach out if you have any questions. I'm happy to assist. Thanks. Have a great day.